that you can land a remote job in less than 6 months. And you might say, I've been trying for longer than that and it hasn't happened for me yet. If that's the case, I know that there might be things that you are doing wrong in your remote job search, and you might be applying to jobs and not seeing results. So if your goal is to land a remote job in less than 6 months, sit down, we're gonna have a talk. I want you to look at the date in which you are watching this video. Then you're gonna count exactly 6 months from today, and you're going to write that date down. So 6 months from today, put it in a post-it on your calendar, on your phone, anywhere where you can see it, but make sure that we can remember this date, have it fresh in your mind at all times. And the reason why I want you to remember that date is because I know that in 6 months you can be working remotely. You will have a remote job that allows you to work from anywhere that pays well. I want you to claim it. And now let me give you an action plan so that you know exactly what to do to actually achieve that goal. So let's get to it. Before I even give you the first step, I am really proud of you for educating yourself and starting to do some research. I know that by watching this video, you're already thinking about it and you're like, wait, let me really start understanding what remote work is and how I could possibly land a remote job. So you are on the right track by watching this video. You won't achieve your goals if you don't educate yourself first. And when I was thinking about this, I was thinking of when I decided that I wanted to become a little bit healthier and become a little bit more fit. If I would have started going to the gym like randomly and doing some cardio without no guidance and just being like, I'm gonna buy some vegetables and just eat random vegetables and hope that I can lose weight and get fit and toned and all those things that we're looking for when we want to get fit, it wouldn't have been possible as fast as I started doing it. What I did first is that I actually bought a course about nutrition to start learning about it. Then I got in an online program with a coach to do weight training guided programs. Then I was like, let me take it a step further, and I got a nutritionist, give me a personalized plan of what to do step by step so that I was doing something really for my specific goals. So in my opinion, anytime that you want to achieve something, you have to start educating yourself about the topic and then getting guidance and the right tools that you need in order to achieve that. And I'm so happy that you're here because I, as a remote work specialist, can provide you with all the guidance, the tips, the tools, and everything you need for you to achieve that lifestyle of work-life balance and more flexibility, freedom, and all those things that we want when we get a remote job. Now let's get into the first step of the remote job search, and it is to identify the skills that you already have. I constantly see people who, of course, are beginning their journey to try to find a remote job, and the first thing that they think that they need to do, they think they need to learn a new skill. And they end up wasting so much time because, of course, learning a new skill takes a lot of time. But no, you do not have to learn a new skill. Here's what you have to do. Let's say that right now you have an accounting job, right? It is in an office, it's considered a traditional job, and you want a remote job. Some people think that in order to land that remote job that they need to go and learn social media, coding, how to build a website, because those are the kinds of remote jobs a lot of people think that are out there. But the truth is that right now there are so many companies that are fully remote, so if you work in accounting right now, you can find a job that's remote that is also in accounting. As you may have noticed during the pandemic, if you worked in the legal department of your company, you suddenly had to start working from home because of the pandemic. You didn't have to learn social media or something in order to continue doing your job. You just have to learn the tools to do the same job that you were doing, but remotely. So again, you do not have to learn a new skill. Don't waste time trying to do that because you can land a remote job with the skills that you already have. By the way, aside from identifying the skills that you already have, like the hard skills, the professional skills, so maybe customer service, accounting, contract writing, graphic design, right? You can also start identifying the skills that are specifically more related to remote jobs that you already have, those would be considered the transferable skills. If they are more basic, you can start applying to entry-level remote jobs. If they are more basic, you can immediately start applying to entry-level remote jobs. Now, if you're a person who has a lot more experience, even if that experience is not remote, you can immediately start applying to remote jobs that are more advanced or higher paying. So either you have a lot of experience and you can apply to higher paying remote jobs, or you have a lot of skills, and then that means that you can also apply to higher paying or more advanced remote jobs. So it's all going to depend on where you are right now in your career, but you can manage it, identify, and apply to remote jobs anyway. Now, the second step is to learn tools that would allow you to do your same job but remotely. Like I mentioned earlier, most jobs can be done remotely. You just need to learn some programs, software, tools that allow you to do that job but online, from your laptop, while working, while traveling, or from home. So for example, let's say that you are a project manager in your current position. If you want a remote position as a project manager, what you would have to do is make sure that you learn project management tools. There's so many out there. For example, Asana, Monday.com, Basecamp, Trello. Those are examples of remote tools used for project management jobs or used by project managers in companies. The good news is that it is usually pretty easy to learn a new tool. They're usually pretty user-friendly, so they are fast to learn and easy to learn. It's not like learning a whole new skill, because a skill requires a degree or education or experience in order for you to say that you are experienced at it. But for a tool, you just go on and do some YouTube tutorials, or you go to the website, you download it, you play around with it for a little bit, for a week, for 2 weeks, and boom, you can say that you're proficient in such tool. Now, there are some tools that are more advanced. So for example, if you are a video editor, you cannot learn Premiere in 2 seconds, but you can learn a project management tool like Asana in a week. So once you learn these new tools, you mention that in your resume, when you're looking at a job, and you look at the job description, if you know the tools that are in the requirements, that's going to make you stand out from the competition, because you already know the tools that they use at that workplace, right? So boom, there you have it. Step 2 is pretty easy if you are willing to learn new things and if you are a little bit tech savvy. By the way, I must say that if you want to work remotely, you should be tech savvy. And I'm not saying you should be able to solve the most complex and advanced problems and troubleshoot, like IT issues, but you need to be comfortable finding solutions to your problems online, finding a YouTube tutorial that's going to solve a problem that you're encountering. You need to be resourceful, because in a remote job, your boss is not going to be there for you to ask them questions. Your co-workers are not going to be in the cubicle next to you, and you can be like, hey, how do I do this? No, you're not going to have that kind of thing when you're working independently from home. So you must be resourceful. You must be able to, Google and find solutions to your problems. So if you find it hard to upload a document to Google Drive, or if remote project management tools are overwhelming to you, maybe remote work is not for you. Now let's continue on to the next step, which is all about remotifying your resume. It's kind of like a phrase or a term that I made up back in 2019 when I started offering the service of remotifying resumes for people. And it basically means making your resume specifically for remote jobs. A lot of people want remote jobs, and if you apply with that resume that you made back in 2017 that's kind of outdated and doesn't show your proficiency with tools used in remote work environments and doesn't show remote work experience or skills, it's going to be a little bit harder for you to apply to remote jobs and stand out. So if you have already applied to remote jobs and you did not get callbacks, you did not get interviews, and you're wondering why, if you used a resume that wasn't remotified, that might be the reason why. Because you might have experience that's relevant to remote jobs, you might have skills, you might know tools, but if it doesn't say it in your resume and you're applying to a remote job, then they're not gonna care. You're not gonna get an interview. Yeah, it's plain and simple. You have to make it easy for the employer to notice that you would be good at working at a remote work environment. And you do that by highlighting any remote work experience that you've had, even if it's a personal project, or even if you worked from home during the pandemic, you can totally add that as remote work experience to your resume. Also, you can highlight skills for remote jobs and the tools that you know, and those are some of the things that must be in a resume that is made for remote jobs. Remotifying your resume is a very important part of your remote job search. This is a step that you must not skip, because if not, you're going to be wasting time applying to all these remote jobs that you could be a perfect fit for, but you're not going to get noticed because your resume doesn't say all those things. Since I've started offering the service of Remotify Your Resume, I've noticed one thing, and it is that maybe some people have been applying to remote jobs for some time and they haven't had good results, but then once I remotify their resume, they instantly start getting callbacks and they're like, oh my gosh, this works. That is because it's not that they did not have the skills, it's just that your resume didn't say it. So that is why it is so important to remotify the resume. Let's move on to the next step, and it is to learn how to find legitimate remote jobs and to learn how to avoid the online scam. One of the most important things that I want people to familiarize themselves with is to know how to identify the online scams, the fake jobs, because right now scammers are getting so creative and so good at making jobs seem like they're an actual legitimate remote job, but it's actually a scam to get your personal information or to get money from you. So it is very important that you know how to avoid those, otherwise you're going to be wasting a lot of time applying to a bunch of remote jobs that were actually scams, and you're gonna get discouraged in the remote job search. Let me know in the comments if you want me to make a full video about online scams, how to identify them, how to make sure you don't fall victim to one of them. I can totally do that if that interests you. Once you learn how to spot the fake jobs that are out there, you also have to learn how to identify the legitimate jobs and how to find the companies that would be great options to work for. So if you do not know where to start, I can actually help with that. Back in 2019, I made a remote job directory, which I still have and you can visit, because people were asking me like, how do I find these legit remote jobs? Like, I know that I have to remotify my resume and all that, but then where do I find the jobs, right? So to make it easier for everyone and for you, if you don't know where to find legit remote jobs, start with my remote job directory. It is wantremotejobs.com, and you can search on there. You can look at all the companies that are hiring. I'll post whenever they're hiring worldwide, or if it's a full-time, I write it down all on there so that you can start looking at some options. And once you've done all of that, you have to start applying for the remote jobs, because like I always say, a remote job won't magically find you. You have to actually apply. And I recommend applying to 3 to 5 remote jobs per week, and to do that consistently for some time to see where you're going wrong. Like if you're not getting interviews, then maybe your problem is your resume. Did you already remotify it? And here's a reminder for you. I want you to apply even if you do not meet 100% of the requirements. Now, if you only meet 20%, don't apply. Don't be like Andrea told me to apply even if I don't meet all the requirements. That's not what I said, señorita. I said that even if you do not meet 100% of the requirements, but maybe you meet 70%, that's good enough to apply. Be confident, apply anyway. Because what I often see happening is people who are not applying to remote jobs, and then someone less qualified than them got the job because that other person wasn't brave enough to apply. So don't be that person. From my experience, these 5 steps of the remote job search can definitely be completed in like 6 months or less. It's going to depend on how much time you have to commit to the remote job search, and also it's going to depend on if you're not making mistakes and if you have guidance. And if you need guidance so that you can make this happen in 6 months or less, I have a course called Land Your First Remote Job, in which I teach you step by step everything you need to know in order to land your first remote job, like to remotify your resume and to get more information how to like spot the fake jobs, and all of that is included inside of my course. So go ahead and click the link in the description, because I have a free intro class to the course so that you can get a sense of what you'd get if you join the course. So how do I know that you can complete these 5 steps in less than 6 months? How am I so sure about it? It's because in my course members are taking on average 3 to 6 months to land their first remote job. If they follow all the steps, they complete their assignments and they start applying to remote jobs. Now let's recap the 5 steps. Number 1 is to identify the skills that you already have. Number 2, you are going to learn the tools that you need in order to do your same job but remotely. Step number 3 is to remotify your resume, and by the way, that includes your cover letter too. Number 4 is to learn how to identify the fake remote jobs or the scams, learn how to find the legit remote jobs. And number 5 is to start applying to remote jobs, at least 3 to 5 per week. If you already started your remote job search, let me know in what stage you are right now below in the comments, and I will help you figure out what step you should take next or what you should be doing that you might not be doing. So tell me in detail where you are right now and what do you think you need help with. And if you haven't even started, remember that there's a free intro video linked in the description that you can watch to get started. Now, since you are looking for a remote job, I have a video that you should watch because it is all about what to expect when you land your first remote job, what to expect in your remote job search, what to be looking or working towards, okay? So go watch that video next about your first remote job.